Now here's the thing, I received my MBA about a year before I decided to quit working. Yet, if I had to do it all over again, I still would have gone and gotten my MBA. I'd still rank it as probably one of the top 5 best experiences of my life. With that said, sometimes getting an MBA is a horrible idea. It's not meant for everybody. Here are the only 3 reasons why you should get an MBA. Slap hands, bump fists, let's go.
Now, this video was inspired by one of our newest viewers, Jack Schroeder. So keep sending me those questions down below in the comment section, and who knows, maybe I'll make a video on it if I think that it can really help out the rest of our community here. And don't forget to stick to the end and you'll see why I decided to get my MBA. And if you haven't yet, poke this little subscribe button right here or the big red one just down below. If videos about getting the most value out of your money and your life and escaping that 9-to-5 grind is something that interests you. Alright, so the very first reason on why you should get an MBA is the more traditional sense. It's because you want to go work with one of the big 4 or the big 5, I'm not sure, it's the big 6, I'm not sure how many major companies, I don't follow that anymore, but one of the big companies in investment banking or consulting or something along that line, and you're trying to work your way up into upper management. And so what you're really targeting here on this path towards an MBA is you're looking at name recognition. And when I say name recognition, I'm talking about top tier schools and programs. I'm talking about Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, Booth, Kellogg School of Business. All these programs are top tier and they carry a lot of weight in the business world. So don't get me wrong, these schools and programs are phenomenal. Their professors are some of the best, if not the best in the world. However, with that said, what you're really getting a benefit from is that you have the weight of the school name on your resume. And along with that, you also build this strong line of connections and a network that can be like a steroids for your career. So my only warning here, not a warning, my only really concern along this path is that you're getting yourself prepped for 70, 80, 100-hour weeks. You're gonna make a ton of money, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what's that balance between making a ton of money and then having a life? However, with that all said, if that's something that you want to pursue, this path can be great, keeping in mind that some of these schools are the most competitive programs to get into, and if you do get into, they are some of the most expensive programs. And then the second reason why you should get an MBA is that your current employer is gonna pay for it. And typically they're paying for an education, whether it's online, it's a local college or university, and they want to pay you so you can further your education and bring that knowledge back to their company or back to the projects or whatever it is that you're working on. And typically this is a fast track way of getting promotions or raises within that company. And even sometimes I know that you have to sign a certain contract saying that after you receive the MBA is that you have to stay with the company for X amount of years. You can leave earlier, but you have to pay back the part of tuition for leaving early. Now this can be really good or bad. On the good side is that you're getting free education. You can't say no to that. On the downside is that a lot of these local universities or colleges or online schools, they're not considered top tier. I would even say low to mid tier. Not for everyone, but for most. And what ends up happening is that the MBA program really relies on 2 things, which I'll get into the next step. The quality of the MBA program is so important. The second most important is name recognition, because just saying that you have an MBA does not have as much clout anymore as it did back in like the 1970s or 1980s, because honestly, a lot of people get an MBA rather easily now. It's not something as difficult as before. But with all that said, if your employer is paying for it, this is a fantastic path and can be a great path for you. Keeping in mind, again, you tend to be working a lot more because you're moving up the company into management, you're taking on more responsibilities and roles. So just keeping that in mind that you'll make more money, you'll be growing your experience and your knowledge, but you'll also be tying yourself deeper into the quote-unquote rat race. With that all said, if you are really super interested in getting an MBA, these type of schools, these low to mid tier, you want to avoid them as best you can. Even if it's at a significant discount for whatever reason, I would not pursue that. And that leads me to the last and only reason why you should get an MBA, is because you generally want to learn and enhance your toolbox of skills, and you have a direction that you want to move into, whether it's a new career path with opportunities, you're doing a new startup, or you're getting into a position where you need to harness those skills. But you might not be able to afford a top tier program. So what you're really doing is you're going to leverage the best competitive program you can for the money that you have available. So what you're really aiming for is you're looking for schools and programs that are highly ranked, whether it's on the quality, the types of professors, the competitiveness of of the students, the quality of the students and the peers inside the program. And you can find this in all different types of reviews. The most well-known one is called the Princeton Review, which is released every single year and ranks all the major business schools. Now, as I was talking about before, the two key things about any MBA program that dictates whether it's a high quality one or a mid-tier or even a low quality one is how they teach and the resources they use to teach. So the number one thing is clearly enough, it's the type of instructors, facilitators, teachers, professors, whatever you want to call them, that you have within the program. That's pretty straightforward. But the two that are super important is one is the program teaches through case studies and it uses the Socratic method. Those two in combination will alter and change the feel and the effectiveness of the program. So let's break those down super fast, and we can get into another video, but what those really mean, you can Google it. Case studies is basically a professional analytical paper about a certain company or business. And what you're trying to do is that there's a problem or there's an issue or issues, and your job as the reader or the student is to figure out how to use the information that you have to make an informed, evidence-based solution to help move the company forward. Now, a Socratic method is coming to class where there's no lecturing at all. There's almost, the teacher becomes as a facilitator and the students work with each other to learn. And so how this happens is that the teacher or the facilitator proposes questions, scenarios, role plays, whatever you want to call it, to set up the class to have an internal debate. But the key thing here is that it's not an argument or debate based off of emotions. It's all fact-based. So it creates a strong engagement from everybody in the room. Now, with all that said, the combination of obviously having great professors and then using the Socratic method and case studies, it can be a tremendous value to the class and the students just like you. There is a pitfall here. A lot of these programs, if they're not a top tier program, you might still be paying quite a bit of money for it, but you don't get the name recognition from it. But what you learn and the level of education you get is top level. Now, with that all said, an MBA program might not be worth it for you. It might not even be necessary. If I had to tell you the truth, 80% of the things that I'd learned in the MBA program, I could have learned on my own in running my own business or getting involved in a startup at the early stage. But what the MBA program does is it accelerates that learning. It could have taken me 3, 4, 5 years learning on my own, and it'd been really cumbersome and I would have to learn it as it came up. The MBA program really helps organize things, and it allows you to make the mistakes and build the skills in a shorter amount of time than if you were to do in the real world. And it doesn't have the ramifications of when you make a mistake, company loses money, or even worse, the company goes bankrupt. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, I retired or I quit working for companies and doing startups and stuff like that roughly a year out after I got my MBA. And so you really ask, was it worth it? I would say absolutely. And the reason is because in my MBA program, the path that I took, it wasn't just about numbers, about how do you extract the most value out of your customers and increase the customer lifetime value and then raise stock prices and then sell your company. My program was more engaged of changing the way that we think about stuff. And I think that could be true about any program, and it's how you approach it. And by changing the way that you think, it can change the way that you think about everything else. And I would honestly say that the way that I learned and the way that I was able to approach problems really helped me build the house that I have around me now. And it sounds silly to say, like, my MBA program taught me how to build a house. It didn't tell me how to nail 2x4s together, but it did teach me how do I figure out how to nail 2x4s together, and how do I put enough of these 2x4s together to put up a whole house. And so it allows me to break problems apart and really get the maximum value out of the resources I have and leverage it to getting what it is that I want. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, throw me a line or a question down in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer it. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, and then don't forget to subscribe right here or just down below. And if this is your first time, my name is Kai, and with a little bit of hard work and a little bit of luck, I was able to retire at the age of 27, and now I live mortgage free and I make videos for folks just like you. Now, don't be shy. I would love to hear from you guys. Drop me a line saying hello or any questions that you may have down below. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you all on the other side. Peace. Click on the left for what the math geniuses think you may like, and click on the right for what I think you may like. Don't forget to subscribe and become my favorite person. You can click the circular icon with my face. See you soon.